Every time someone says anime tourist, the anime community loses its mind. One side screams elitism, the other side screams that anime is being ruined. And the funniest part about both of these sides is they think they are protecting anime. But they're fighting over something way bigger than just labels. It's about something more than gatekeeping. It's about who literally gets to decide what anime becomes in the future. After anime exploded during COVID, the community changed basically overnight. What was once a slowly growing niche hobby exploded into mainstream. Conflict is inevitable. Celebrities started watching anime and proclaiming how good it was.
Is Naruto Shippuden. Been a fan of it for years, since I was like maybe 12, 13 years old. I've literally seen Sasuke and Naruto grow up. At the end of it,
It actually became cool to like anime. Crazy. And now, the people who felt like they were mocked in the past for liking anime, which they were now being told by normies that the medium needs to be fixed. And people who just discovered anime don't understand why longtime fans are so defensive to change. That clash is what people are now calling elitism versus tourism. So let's talk about tourist first, because people pretend that it isn't a real thing. Unfortunately, it is. A tourist isn't just a new fan. It's someone who enters a space because it's popular, realizes parts of it makes them uncomfortable, and instead of disengaging or just rolling with it like the other fans do, they start pushing for change, usually through shaming. And no, disliking fan service doesn't make you a tourist. But pushing the "I'm one of the normal anime fans" rhetoric absolutely does. That rhetoric exists because anime is weird and always has been. And that weirdness is exactly what made people fall in love with it in the first place. I've seen people try and say anime shouldn't have the characters screaming attack names and the weird sounds they make. And why is anime so weird? It should change. Just go watch Ben 10, bro. On the other side, you've got people proudly calling themselves gatekeepers nowadays. What was once an insult back in the day. Yes, actual elitists exists. The guy who trashes you for liking Bleach instead of a 90s OVA, that guy's annoying. Most people will agree. And they're always going to exist in every medium. But what's happening now isn't just elitism. A lot of people are conflating. It's a defensive reaction. Longtime fans watched the other communities lose their identity once outsiders started demanding moral changes. We've seen this so many times. So when they hear people saying anime should be less problematic, well, alarms go off automatically. And honestly, it makes sense. Pattern recognition is a thing. I've seen people argue that fan service should disappear and that weird trope should go, that characters yelling attack names is childish. And that's a problem because once you start sanding down the weirdness, you don't stop. Weirdness is what makes anime anime. To be fair, though, anime was always going to be jarring. Western media spent years playing it safe. If you genuinely watch a lot of the cartoons and even movies from Western media, for the most part, they really don't do anything too controversial because they're usually backed by corporations and not individual groups and creators. So when people suddenly ran into anime's extremes, of course they push back. Some of that push comes from religion, activism, or just plain discomfort. The issue is that this push often turns into shaming.
Plain and simple. The worst anime my office discovered is Ramanga Sensei. The plot is beyond what any person would consider as normal or appropriate.
And fans who are fine with fiction get labeled horrible things just for liking it. Trust me, I've seen some people get called crazy things for liking certain anime. That creates backlash. And suddenly, everyone who pushes back gets labeled a tourist. So here's where I stand. I don't think tourists are evil for wanting change, but I do think refusing to accept pushback from original fans or just, leaving the community is disrespectful. I think dividing the community into normal people versus weirdos is the same thing anime fans were mocked for years ago. And I absolutely think altering art to satisfy moral comforts destroys creativity. And we all know Hollywood proved that years ago. That's the reason people are rushing to anime. If you don't like it, don't watch it. And please, please, stop insulting real people over fucking cartoons. And honestly, I agree with the analogy that some people have made comparing the mindsets of anime tourism to colonialism. Not the moral weight, not the historical suffering, but the pattern of behavior. Let me explain what I mean, because this is where people intentionally misunderstand points. I'm going to describe a sequence of events in a vague, abstract way, not to equate situations, but just to highlight the mindset. There's a community, they exist in their own corner, with norms and cultural expressions that outsiders often describe as weird, uncivilized, or problematic. Then outsiders arrive, decide those norms are objectively wrong, and take it upon themselves to change them, regardless of whether the community wants that change. And when the culture is altered, it's justified as being morally correct, even if the people who lived there never asked or wanted it. Obviously, anime fans are not colonizers, and anime is not a country. I'm talking about the logic, the belief that something must be reshaped to fit your moral comfort before it's allowed to exist. Plus, I'm black, so I can say that, fuck you. What really crosses the line for me is seeing people celebrate censorship. This is when I think you're a piece of shit. Same censorship that strips creative freedom from the creators they claim to love. Everyone wants anime to be less problematic, but nobody agrees on what that means. Some draw the line at innuendos, some draw the line at comedy, some draw the line at nudity, some at jokes. So honestly, who decides? The answer is literally nobody has the right to decide except the creator. Anime survived because creators didn't ask permission. While elitism exists, this wave of gatekeeping is a reaction to watching other great communities collapse once moral control replaced creative freedom. Anime will keep growing and these arguments will keep happening. And the only reason anime hasn't banned completely is because Japan still controls it. And I think that's worth protecting. So, if you love anime for the weirdness, well, the best way to keep making that go on is to protect the anime that show weirdness from the moral complainers and vote with your wallets, because that's literally all that the manga companies want, right? They want people watching their shit. The more you watch their shit, the more they keep making that type of shit.